Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Meyer Studio Sketch Club. My name is Cindy, and next to me is Jason. We are holding down the fort tonight. Izzy is feeling a little under the weather, so I am taking over her responsibility for the intro. So nice to have you guys with us. Tonight we're going to be doing 4 5-minute sketches. Be loose, have fun. No one's judging you, and don't worry about it. Just take your pen and pencil and enjoy. Before we get started, I will hand the microphone over to Jason, and he's going to take a few minutes to talk about his approach before the sketching starts at 7.
Hello, everybody. So, again, you're always welcome to do however you want. You don't have to follow me. But for those, there are a few people here in the class. So for those of you in class, the intro, I'll go over. I'm going to talk about the big things and seeing the big things first. So let's take a look at what we're going to be heading into tonight. Okay, so this is not too unlike one from last week, isn't it? Except it's flipped around, so it's a little bit different. So what's the big shape, right? When you look at that, what big, easy shape do you see? You come up with something like that? Right, so if you see the big shape, then that makes it real easy to size and placement on your paper or your canvas without really worrying about details. And we can move it and design it however we want. So see the big shape, right? We want to see it simply. And then one thing I know I'll be grabbing onto are these negative shapes, right? These negative shapes. By the way, the negative shapes grow from smaller. You see they follow that. So there's a rhythm in there. There's a rhythm. And speaking of rhythms, are these the basic rhythms of the painting? All right, so we've got this leaf laying across. Then we've got the apple standing up. This leaf is a little bit like that. That leaf's a little bit like that. But all together, we're working up this big diagonal here, right? And I love this little curl at the end, right? That just, it keeps you from going off of the canvas, right? Just a nice little pause. Hit the brakes before we hit the Grand Canyon. All right, so that's what I'm looking at when I do those tonight. We're going to do 4 5 minutes tonight. So, Susan, you'll recognize this one. So, I'm not above stealing. I stole this from Susan, but I thought it would be a fun one to draw. Right? So, what are the big, simple things we're looking at in here? Well, first of all, right, just a big oval or ellipse for the head. And he's got a belly, then he's got those little bitty thin arms. Right, and of course the stick, the stick that they're all holding on to. Hey, Claudia.
Hi, Claudia. Susan. Yay.
Okay, we'll tell Izzy to get better. So the big pieces. And then remember we want to divide it into light and shadow. So this is the basic light and shadow pattern that I'm seeing. General overall. And I'm saying all this because this guy's so cute. It's real simple just to focus right in on his face and not see overall. But with that being said, it looks a little funny like that. But those will be the darkest spots, won't they? All right, so we're running a little bit behind. I'm talking too slow. This is a little more challenging, but this is a fun one. This is Izzy in the water when she's a kid. So the big shapes, again, start with the oval of her head. And then see how she's turned sideways? You can catch that with the straps of her bathing suit and her arm. And then one thing I wanted to show you about the hat is compare that to that, right? It's a lot. Yeah, she... Maybe too much Halloween candy, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. That's why I try to eat as much as I can, so she doesn't end up with a stomach ache. All right. So the last one, this is actually a photograph by my uncle, and it's also my uncle's property. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. He's quite the artist himself and is responsible for a number of years of my arts education. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do this one. This is a fun one. This is basically a circular. You see that? Follow that limb up around, and those trees in the background bring you down. So a little bit circular there. All right. Well, looks like I'm out of time here. So if everybody's rests. Yes, we miss Izzy too, but I do have a pretty good sit-in, I'd say. So I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining.
Aw, thanks.
All right. Well, let's head over to the video and see what we got going on tonight. Are you guys ready? So tonight's the fast one, 5 minutes. Not a lot of time. So you're going to have to rely on oops. There we go. Wasn't sure where that went. So we'll start with the apple tonight. And try to get the overall placement on the page, and then also that movement. Okay. And again, we're not necessarily going for a finish right now. We're just stretching our legs, stretching our sketching muscles, our sketching mind, making sure that we're staying in shape. Okay, and I get a little bit of a slow start. For one reason, it took me forever to set up the cameras. And what I'd planned on having all done before 10 a.m., I don't think I got started till after lunch, about 1 or 1:30. So I'm calming myself down a little bit right here. But it's not uncommon that I take the stump or something that doesn't really almost even leave a mark and kind of just find my way around. Mm-hmm. All right? Come to the paper with questions is what I would suggest. What are the big shapes? How big is this in relation to that? Does it have a movement? Which way is it moving? Is it more upright or is it more laying down? So the cast shadow of the apple, then the first leaf. But you see, I'm not necessarily drawing any one thing. I'm drawing that negative shape. Right? I know very early on that how powerful those are. So if I get the size of that, then I can work on the size of the next negative shape and then just fill in around them. Pretty easy peasy. Easy, easy peasy. So did Tom make it tonight? Did I miss anybody?
Not yet. He said he was going to.
All right. Hopefully Tom makes it. So we got out of the house and delivered a few paintings to the Park Street Gallery in Paso Robles.
They're so pretty.
They're getting ready for the holidays and that. So if you need something to do, masks are required like everywhere, but you can get out and see some good art. Support local artists. And speaking of some good art, is that presumptuous? Tomorrow morning, we're going to shoot for 9:15 right here on the Meyer Studio. I'm going to be doing it's a demonstration for my class, but I thought I'd do it on Meyer Studio just to guys give you a little taste of what we do on our painting. Painting does take longer, but I'll try to keep it to about an hour and a half. I don't know that we'll see a finish yet, but you'll see a lot of progress. So if you're around, you have to check that out. Cindy will be doing the commentating, so all I got to do is paint. And then for those of you in class, as you know, I'll just take the video later and we'll go over it. So if you have questions or point things out. And like always, the rest of the sketch club will be Tuesday and Thursday night the same time. 2 10-minutes on Tuesday and 1 20-minute on Thursday. So, me personally, after I find the movements and stuff, instead of going and finishing one thing, I'll get my gray and work that and work into the movement that I've got figured out, right? Like this highlight. I'm kind of thinking about the movement and finding the movement rather than finishing the twig or a leaf or the apple. Because what the viewer actually sees, you guys could probably finish this by now, is the dark, the gray, the light, right? The tone of the paper, the gray, the dark, and then the white sitting on top of that. So make sure those are in a rhythmic relationship. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Is this public TV?
It's okay.
Rhythmic relationship? It sounds wrong when I say it. Well, I don't know if it sounds wrong. It sounds dirty.
What?
I don't know. Just, hey, sounds a little risque. But I think things have probably changed since I was a kid. Just a guess.
I'm trying to get Sue to find us.
Ah. Okay, how are you guys going? I hope you guys are drawing a little faster than I am. Like I said, I was worn out. Whoop, is that our 5 minutes?
Oh, time.
Better been drawing faster than I was, because that's all the time you get. All right, so what's next? What's next? What's next? How about this guy?
Oh, he's so cute.
What's that guy's name, anyway? Kind of want to call him Winnie the Pooh. He just seems like
His little belly.
He just seems like a laid-back guy. So, you know, that stick up above he's hanging on to, get that, and then trying to fill out the size of his head here. So for those of you who don't know, when I start, it's not so much of going in immediately and start doing, but I try to feel the whole thing out with very light marks. And as I start, begin to be able to see it on the paper, then I'll get darker or more confident, more sure about the strokes. But the method I use is more of a finding, right? More of a questioning than a telling. Right? And especially with the sketches at this early stage, it's more of an exploration. You know, you're kind of taking a walk, seeing what's out there. What strikes your fancy. Right? And if you'll do that, take that approach rather than think, you know what, I need to get this oh, that's not right. Oh, it looks ugly. Man, that's harsh, man. Be nice to yourself. Give yourself a little time off. And then just keep coming back, and before you know it, hey, I've gotten a lot better. A lot of times when I'm finding things rather than going line around, sometimes I'll do a little bit of that, but I also like going across the form to kind of fill the whole thing. All right, let's take a little guess at the eyes and stuff. Right, notice I don't try to do anything perfect, but just try to get everything kind of in there so you can see the relationship of everything. Because that's what's important, is at this stage is the relationship. At every stage is the relationship. But relationship over details to begin with. Curious George. I'm making a Curious George. Did we just name this guy?
Little George.
Little George. He looks curious, but I don't know if he'd get in as much trouble as George would.
He looks like he wants to give you a hug.
Yeah. Or take your cookie. I earned that cookie, buddy. Hands off. Okay, so like I'm drastically moving the arm now. So just because you put those first marks down doesn't mean, you know, if they're not quite right, go ahead and move them. And that's the advantage of starting slow. I don't know if I'm not going to give it away quite yet, but you guys are going to have a choice for Thursday for the long pose. The program's already recorded, but I did 2 long poses. One I wanted to work on and one that I think you guys will want to work on. But I'm going to let you guys vote maybe Tuesday, maybe tonight. See which one you want for the long pose.
I know what Susan's going to vote for. Tom made it. Hi, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
And Susan said George was a chimpanzee.
George the chimpanzee. Oh, this isn't chimpanzee. In class, we went through what this was. It took me. Luckily, I had 9 lives. Right? Orangutan? Is that what you settled on? Is that right?
That's what you said.
Don't put this on my shoulders. I'm asking you a question.
I'm out of it.
That's what I said. Oh, that's brutal.
Sorry.
Brutal.
That bus.
George. Yep, an orangutan. Okay. I feel better.
Oh, bye, George.
Our 5 minutes is up. I wasn't done. Did you guys get finished? I didn't get finished. Oh, man. That's how it goes. 5 and go. Okay, guys. So start off simply and don't expect to finish this. This is a little bit complex. But again, just feel your way around it. Right, again, I'm just starting with her general head. And boom. And I'll try to feel the hat on there. What direction she's looking. Where's the corner of her face?
Sorry.
Right, the shadow side. And not the shadows that's represented on there. Just the shadows versus the light side. That's all I'm trying to represent right now. And I do apologize because it's not till I'm like at 4 minutes into these things that I realize, you know what? This was probably too complicated for 5 minutes. But hey, how do we get stronger, right? And if you were here for the intro, you remember I showed you how much wider that cap is than it is tall. And you can see how far I missed it there, right? And I'll come back and fix it later, but those sides are out much further, and I went way too tall on this first one, right? Because her head's leaning back a little bit, so that's going to cut out a lot of the height of the back of that hat. But again, you're going a million miles an hour. Sometimes it's hard to slow down for all that measurement stuff. But the whole reason we do this is to see that, right? To see those things. And to scratch on some paper. Look at all that scratching I'm doing. Oh, man. I'm working out all my problems. Working them all out. Even if we're doing them wrong at this point. Even if the stuff's off. Just get moving that pencil. Get over that fear. Find the fun in making marks. Right, just for fun. Trying to find the strap there to tell you what direction her body's going. Moving across that arm. Across the chest. And this whole thing's about her holding that water, about to spray Grandma, so that's an important piece of this gesture.
She doused her.
Yeah, Grandma usually didn't get away. So. Hey, Sue.
Yay! Hi, Sue.
Made it. So, Sue, if you feel like sketching these again, once the live recording is over, it may take, I don't know, just a few minutes, probably not more than 5 or 10. But then on this same page, it'll go up as a recording and you can come back and find it and replay it. Anybody can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And about an hour to 2 hours after we live record, you can also find it on YouTube. Again, at Meyer Studio. Our YouTube channel is Meyer Studio with no space. MAYRSTUDIO. One advantage of that is it'll play at a higher quality. It'll go to play at 1080 over there. And then you have your little gear settings at the bottom. You'll have playback speeds. Play it back at, I think, up to 2 times as fast. So I just find it a little easier to manage the videos over there. Okay, so if we had more time, we'd really want to get the shape of those darks that we're calling eyes down, right? And the shape of the nose, but 5 minutes isn't much time. So we want to just try to get the wholeness going in. And a lot of times these quick ones are done so we can find what we like and see what we have wrong. Oh, I've got that and I've got that, I've got that. And even just doing a single sketch before really starting, you'll be amazed at how many of the problems you solve. And you save yourself from committing on your canvas. So is that it? Looks like that's it for that 5 minutes.
Aww. Bye, Izzy.
All right. So for the last one today, it's trying to get me to update my software in the middle of a live stream.
No.
Maybe not right now. Again, he sent me a few pictures of this exact scene, and I've just fallen in love with it. Mm-hmm. And he sent this to me quite a while. I was trying to remember how long ago these were sent, but I've always been meaning to do some sketching of these because I saw these designs. And again, he's studied architect, does wonderful photography. So he's an artist in his own right. He didn't just fall upon this composition.
Right.
And if I didn't know better, he might have even planted some trees strategically. But like I said, the circular composition, and I love just the lights on top of the stone pillars there. The staircase walking down to the next level and then out to the pier. So you've got this big circular happening the way, but then you've got this near grass. You can go through down the stairs to the far grass and a little dark. And then we can go over to the dock. And then we have the light of the sky reflecting in the water. And then we have the reflections of the trees in the water, right? And then you see how the clouds aren't quite as light as the sky. So in class, we've been talking about that measure of the background. So this is a big deal that the measure of those trees aren't to the lightest sky, but there's clouds up there. So that's a softer step off. Right? And one of the things that's going to do is really accentuate this, help us accentuate the dark massiveness of this forward tree. I love drawing. I don't know. I got a thing for trees. Even with my wife here, I have to admit it. I've got a thing for trees. I just, oh my gosh. She's always, what are you looking at? Oh, sorry, I saw a tree. I was yanking my head around. I wasn't listening, I was looking at the tree. So my bad. I do. I have a thing for trees, though. I don't know. Don't know. Not as big as a thing for you. It's just a little thing, but
Thanks.
just a little thing. This is in Texas. This is in Texas. My my grandmother and her father and my uncle, they actually built the house and everything. It was just land, and they built it with their own hands. Some beautiful stonework and everything. So, and I don't even know the last time I was at that property. Way too long to say the least, but it's been a long time. And like I said, my uncle's quite an artist himself, so I'm sure he's done some beautiful things with the property. With the property.
I think 2002 was when we went out there.
But did we make it down to the lake house? I was trying to remember if we made it to the lake house on that trip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'd never seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was gorgeous.
Oh, it's just nearly 2 decades. Not that long. Oops. I was telling Cindy today, I felt like I've been 3 days behind my entire life. I just move at a different pace. And trying to keep up, it's not my pace. So I'm thinking about the trees now as just a general quiet dark. Right, it's not going to be nearly as dark as this forward tree. This forward tree will be darker than the trees step back on the far side of the lawn. North, south, east, or west? You know, I don't know the exact town. It's not so far from... Oh, I didn't know I was going to have a pop quiz tonight, Claudia. Goldthwaite, Texas is the town, and it's outside of Goldthwaite. And I was trying to remember how long. I don't know if it's 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Goldthwaite, Texas. So, what would you say? Kind of center Texas? Texas is kind of hard to describe because it's got all these arms going off. And it's just huge. But it's not down by the water. It's not West Texas in the desert. It's not really the woods of East Texas. Not the plains of the Panhandle. It's not the coast. So somewhere there in the middle. Oh my goodness, did we run out of time? Look at that. That's all the time we have. That's all the time we have. Well, why don't we do a quick rewind?
Yes, let's rewind.
Let's rewind. And let these merry people go on their way. Let's see. So how did you guys do tonight? I always think it's fun watching these things disappear. Okay, so we did 4 tonight. We started with an apple, which was the opposite from last week, right? We talked about finding the big, simple shapes and then how I locked onto those negative shapes. And then as you're making the marks, I'm making dark marks and gray marks and light marks along the movement rather than, and trying to get a complete movement in there rather than trying to complete any one object. Right? And we just get as far as we get. But again, the idea is to get a sense of the whole in there, right? Rather than finishing any little detail, right? I mean, that's rough. But again, we got the sense of the whole. So when we come back, right, we can come back with fresh eyes, see if we need to adjust anything, adjust it, and if not, then proceed to develop or refine. Same thing with Izzy. And sometimes if you're what am I trying to say? Your measures are off. Your proportions are off a little bit. Don't get too hung up in that. I mean, look at that. I'm sorry, Izzy. Turn me in for child abuse. So we're not here for write the perfect little thing. Again, it's just to stretch our sketching muscles. And then here's my personal favorite, just to draw tonight, probably be this landscape. So you guys are going to have a choice. So for Tuesday, it's going to be the landscape, and George, not the chimpanzee, but George the orangutan. And then you guys can choose. I want you to vote whether you want to see the finish or another 20 minutes on Thursday of the landscape, the lake, or of George the orangutan. So all right, well, some of the buttons are still working, so that's good. How did you guys do tonight? Did you get your sketching done? So if you're happy with what you got and would like to share, please put it in the comments here in Meyer Studio. We'd love to see them. I'll be back in the morning. Cindy will be running the show, and the cameras will be on the painting and the palette. And we'll continue with our class tomorrow, shooting at 9:15. There is some new equipment, so that's yeah, that's our hope. All right. So thanks, everybody. Yeah, Susan kind of figured what you'd go for. Oh, yeah, I did get a landscape vote. So it's 1-1. You guys let me know.
Ooh.
All right, guys. Well, I hope to see you in the morning. Again, if you can't make it in the morning, you can find the recording later on Facebook or over on YouTube. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.